Martha Graham once said, the Latin verb to educate, educere, indicates that education is not to put in, but to draw out. And that's what we wanted to kick off the conference with today. What students are capable of when we draw it out. So my name is Erica Piper. I'm from Art Sparks, so as are these wonderful children who have had the opportunity to experience dance and music in their schools. So we are a nonprofit organization that partners with many public schools in the area, and I see so many familiar, fun partner faces out in the audience, which is great, because we believe that the arts are transformational. So we wanted to invite you into our classroom today, show how we prepare our students' minds and bodies to learn, an example of our very engaging teaching methodologies, and how we strive to put best practices in motion. So dancers, show me excellence and energy. Follow everything I do. 5, 6, 7, 8, go down. Open those fingers up. Touch your balance. Switch. Stretch those elbows all the way. Nice switch. Thank you. Please clap. We also begin every class with a little cheer that it promotes life skills. Because in dance we say we do everything with energy and excellence. And these are skills that transfer all over life. So Mr. Luca is going to lead our Art Sparks 4-4. We begin every class in all of our schools.
Hiya! Hiya!
In everything we do. So today we're going to give you an example of how we teach some content. Although we believe that dance has value in itself, we typically combine with a core curricular subject. You may be able to guess that our subject today is the solar system. And dancers, we're going to teach some steps that have to do with the most important thing in our solar system, the celestial body that's the center of our solar system. What is it? What is it? All right. The sun. Yes, our lovely Emmy is playing our sun today. Turn and face me this way. The sun is what, by the way? What kind of celestial body is the sun?
A star.
It's a star. Get your starburst hands ready. I go for 4 counts. 4 counts, I go. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4. No! 1, 2, 3, and 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
I go for 8 counts. 2 times through. I go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
I add a step. I go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8.
If your name is not Maddie, hit the deck. If your name is not Maddie, hit the deck. elbows. 5, 6, 7, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, yes. Everyone stand up, try with it. With the Maddie style. Ready? Of course you got it. 6, 5, 6 with Maddie's elbows. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good turn and face Miss Alice.
Good, everybody put some glue on the inside of one heel, glue on the inside of the other heel, and then stick them together. Now stretch your arms up to the sky, making a V shape with your arms. Say ultraviolet rays.
Ultraviolet rays.
Stretch, make a V. Excellent, shine your light. I go for 8 counts, 8 counts. I go up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We go, we go.
Good. Ultraviolet rays and turn. 6, 7, go. Excellent. Keep your feet together. Ari, come here with me. We're gonna squat down. We're gonna examine their feet. Make sure they're getting high off the ground. Okay, girls and boys, stick those feet together. Stretch your arms. Ready? 5, 6. Hop up and down. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Nicely done. Stand up tall. Take it up around. They're stretching. Excellent. Okay, guys, turn around and face Miss Erica.
All right, I have to give our audience a job first of all. What's my favorite number, dancers?
8.
8 helps us stay with Mr. Ron's music. We clap for 8 counts, then you clap for 8 counts. 1, you go, 5. You go with Miss Alice. 5, 6, we clap it first. 1, 2, 3, count out. 5, 6, 7, 8. Count out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have 2 steps, 2 sets of 8. I don't know, should I ask you or should I ask them? What's 2 times 8?
16.
Okay, I guess we know who knows what's up in here. Standing on top. 5 plus 16 counts. You clap while they do our steps. Do the starburst plus the ultraviolet. You're going to clap for us, counting to 16. 5, 6, you clap, they do. Give a hand to your audience. Good, turn and face me. In addition to ultraviolet waves, there are some other types of energy. What types of energy does the sun send to us? Let's see, what keeps us warm? Solar rays, yes, absolutely. Heat and light. Put a little spice in your fingers. 6. I go first. I go. Wave 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Put the sun on your face. Feel the heat on your face. And some light. And then 4 counts of waves. 4 counts of taps. Put it together. 5, 6, 5, 6. You reach it. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. Sam, you got it. Hit the deck and watch your Sam. You got the timing perfect. 5, face the audience. 6, 5, 6, 7. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes! Starburst step. Ultraviolet. Energy waves. That's 8 times 4. So 8 times 3. Okay. Thanks for shutting down the question. There may have been some confusion out there. 3 sets of 8. How many counts do they have to clap? 24. 24 claps. 6, 5, 6 from the top. Ooh, and they almost ended right on time. Turn to face Miss Alice for our last step.
But what keeps us on the ground? Who knows, Maddie? Gravity. And yes, so we are all down on the ground. We're going to get nice and low in this next step. But before we get low, we got to try to get up to the stars. I go for 8 counts, 8 counts. I go stretch, stretch, exhale.
Really, Dave, you go.
Ooh, gravity is really bringing me down. Try that. Ooh, gravity is really bringing me down. Ooh, gravity is really bringing me down. Yes, you gotta stretch. Resist the gravity. Stand up tall. 5, 6, 5, 6. I go stretch, stretch, exhale.
You go, you go.
Stretch,
Nicely done.
stay on the deck. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Good. Jordan, over here. And then up here. Yeah, you guys turn it. You guys face this way. Stand up tall. Yes, you guys stretch. There you go. Yes. Yes. and Mercury, they're representing the planets. Okay, Earth, you're resist that gravity. Stretch up high. Earth goes first. Ready, steady, goes. Mercury, go. Woo! Stretch, yes, exhale again. Earth, go. Stretch, stretch. Exhale again. And Mercury. Excellent.
Good job. I got starboard step. Ultraviolet. Energy waves. Gravity. You go first. Touch your elbow. Then you go. All right. How many total steps do we have? 4. So easy one. Don't give them the answer this time. 4 times 8 is? 32. 32. Very good. Standing up tall. They're going to do the whole thing. But, should we show them a cannon? A cannon. If I do a cannon, that means I have to add an extra 8. So again, easy one. 5 times 8. 40. Yes, they're a little reluctant. Standing up tall. You guys start 8 counts later. A cannon means they're not going to be doing the same steps at the same time. It takes utmost concentration. They really have to know these sun steps. Standing up tall, you do your job clapping. 40 claps. 5, 6, you start. Excellent job. Stand up here. Believe it or not, we have one more tiny piece to share with you. So while my dancers are taking their places for their final piece, I want to just introduce the team that's with me today. Teaching artist, Miss Alice Dewey. Our fabulous Art Sports volunteer, Kayla Keys, who we will and our music director on keys, Ron Hazlett, and assistant music director, Patrick On. Every Art Sports class has live music, and that's so that concepts are real time. Yes. Nice and tall. We'd like to present to you an excerpt from a show that will be premiering in April in the Cotton Falls schools with 400 third grade students from Cotton Falls. And also, yes. We're also excited to announce that the show will also be premiering in May with 16 classrooms of students with disabilities in the Akron Public Schools, and that's thanks to a wonderful grant from the GAR Foundation. So without further ado, please enjoy an excerpt from our show. Everybody is a star.
The littlest comet had traveled all through the galaxy and beyond, looking for where she belonged. But she realized that her place was right here in the Milky Way. Everything in the universe is special and unique, from the largest galaxy to the smallest comet. But we also have something in common. We are all made of stars.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Kirsten Toth with GAR Foundation, and welcome once again to our annual Educator Conference. Please join me in thanking and recognizing Kara Stewart, the Director of Art Sparks, for that inspiring program. We are so excited to have you here today. Almost 200 educators from around Summit County, from almost every district in our county, and many friends and some wonderful new faces as well. So welcome today. Experiences for students provided like organizations like Art Sparks really do inspire us at GAR Foundation. Our interest is in supporting and focusing on high quality programs and learning opportunities, the kinds of learning that happen in schools where the climate is welcoming and open to innovation and caring for each other and our students. Our theme for this year's conference, obviously, is climate change, highlighting the environments that we seek to establish and grow in our classrooms, buildings, and your teacher lounges as well. Caring, safety, security, most of all, relationships with students that support their learning and self-discovery. I have the distinct privilege of working in a climate where we get to support one another and understand deeply that the work that we do every day is so important. And I want to take a moment to introduce to you my staff, our colleagues that have made today possible. We're small but mighty. Our entire staff is here, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Jessica Cherick, our Grants and Evaluation Associate. Please stand or wave if you're in the room. You met Jessica outside. Lisa Yates, our Operation Coordinator. Rob Blair, our Program Officer. Bronwyn Thurman, our Program Associate, who you also met out front, I believe. There she is. Our President, Christine Mayer, will be joining us soon. She could not, as we usually do, we're always trying to fit too much into a day, just like all of you, and she had another commitment this morning, but she'll be joining us soon. And then, finally, today's Master of Ceremonies and the person in charge of bringing all of this to you today. A special shout out to our Communications Manager, Dina Eunice. Today we have set an agenda informed by you, by listening to your comments and concerns in this our, what is it, Dina, 8th conference? 8th year for the conference, and it gets more interesting and more quality every year because of the comments and because of your input. We also rely on a team of exemplary educators, your peers, many of your colleagues in this room, who help evaluate our annual teacher grants program, as you know, called our Educator Initiative Grant Program. And this evaluation team is some of the finest educators and administrators that I have the privilege to come to know, and I'd like them to stand up. I'd like to recognize them after we've introduced each one of them, please. Dr. Gus Farmakidis from Akron Public Schools. Steve France, Akron Public. Becca Fredmonsky from Stowe Monroe Falls. Is Becky here? Angela Harper from Akron Public Schools. Eric Ling from Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. Nancy Muir from Immaculate Heart of Mary. Rose Smorrell from Hudson City School District. Carrie Sofol from Manchester. There she is in the back. Danielle Starkey from Springfield Schools. Danielle, I saw you here. And of course, the program couldn't be managed without the wonderful and energetic and passionate leadership of our program manager for Educator Initiative Grant, Lucille Esposito. Thank you very much. We think you'll enjoy today's focus on climate. We've put together an amazing lineup. Marlina Valentine will share her inspiring story of leadership in schools and how to change for a more positive school climate. You'll hear from her at the keynote later today. A great, inspiring story. She's joined us for the day. And how you can be instrumental in changing the climate in your schools. You know, I read this morning and continue to read about the climate change that fell upon our education colleagues in North Carolina, and how today, right now, as we sit here, they're trying to figure out how to get their schools back open, their teachers back to work, their buses running again, in the midst of what that kind of climate change has foisted upon them. So we are very grateful that you are all here today. We're grateful for the opportunity to share stories and engage with one another. Eric reminded me earlier today about one of the benefits of this conference is that you're all right here. It's all Summit County. And so as opposed to some sort of national or regional gathering, you get to pick up the phone and call each other right afterwards. And you know that you're just, everything in Summit County is about 20 minutes from each other. So we hope that you will take the opportunity that we share with you today to figure out the best ways to improve the climate in your own classrooms. So the winds of change that come up, political winds, climate winds, policy winds, whatever comes and goes, that they won't rock the foundations that you've built in your own classrooms. So thanks for being here, and I will turn it over to Dina. Enjoy the day.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here today and for taking time out of your school year to just designate a full day around teaching and learning. A few housekeeping things I just wanted to mention. Restrooms are right down the hall, right past the registration desk. If you cannot remember the breakout session that you signed up for, check the email if you still have it, the confirmation email that you received. If not, our staff up front at the registration table can look that up for you. So Kirsten talked a little bit about our Educator Initiative Grant Program, and I'm here to show you what that looks like in real life. This year, we followed the story of several teachers, Steve and Steve Squared from Cuyahoga Falls High School, Steve Newland and Steve McIntosh, who wanted to create a learning garden to kind of create an extension of their classroom so their students can learn, grow, and connect with one another. Then meanwhile, down the road, we have Sarah Sabaticki and Heidi Short at DeWitt Elementary School doing a lot of wonderful things, applying for grants, having their students cheer them on literally at the sidelines, supporting them in pursuing these innovative ideas, and they were working on several projects on making DeWitt greener and cleaner, drawing some inspiration from the local community. So how the two came together, they supported one another, and the high school is now helping the elementary school with their learning garden. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. We're going to show you the video because that will demonstrate much better than how I can explain it. And then we'll have an opportunity to meet the teachers and some of their students as well.
This is tomatoes only. Don't eat them while you're picking them.
The Cuyahoga Falls Fresh Farm really came to be about 4 or 5 years ago.
Some right there. You see them?
We got a small $500 grant through the Cuyahoga Falls Alumni Association, and it was a way for my students to meet science standards, math standards, as well as independent living skills, activities, and job training through growing vegetables in the garden. Steve and I were talking about wanting to expand, so we decided to write a GAR grant. We were fortunate enough to get it. We added 27 more raised beds, along with brain saucers and a bunch of other equipment, and that's kind of where we're at now. Through this initiative, we really hope to use the garden as an extension of the classroom. So we've been able to work with special ed and general education together on a number of projects.
There was a student who was out gardening, helping us out, and said she got really involved in it. She goes, I didn't know I liked this until I started doing this.
I didn't know how to garden or do anything before, and I would get like super frustrated. So now I just feel like very calm when I do it. I didn't even know I liked gardening until I started doing it. Doing something like this, you start to realize the value in doing things for yourself and being able to watch progress. When you're growing something or building something, you get to see it grow and progress and move on. You learn the value of patience and waiting for things to come, like when you're in a different class and you're really struggling with something, or you're like, I just want to understand this, I just want to get it. It's like, well, you know, it's like working in the garden or growing something. It'll come over time. You just got to keep working at it and tending to it. Probably how much food do we pick? We have like close to 20 pounds.
Most of our food that we grow, we pick and we donate it to good neighbors.
We get deliveries every week from the school. Peppers, carrots, tomatoes, corn, onions, beans. This is all natural. This is good, healthy food. It was one of the best ideas that the school system came up with. I think it teaches the kids how to have some empathy for other people, and they're teaching about how to, help people that need help.
My favorite part, I would like grabbing green peppers and stuff and sending them to good neighbors.
One of the teachers at DeWitt wanted to start something similar that we had started, and Steve and I got a lot of help with this and just asking questions and calling people up. So it's just pass it on, just send it on down, and then they can help another elementary school or a middle school, and just kind of, you just do it.
We call them Steve and Steve at the high school, and they've offered their services, and they've come down actually last year with our students and planted sunflowers and marigolds from seeds. And so the students were able to start little by that, and we're hoping to build on that by taking field trips up to the high school, and they're coming down to help us plant and grow things.
Today it looked so good and I was so excited, and I told Miss Short that it looked like they took a crane, they took out the old courtyard and they put it in a new courtyard.
We're just looking forward to them just helping us, show us how to run a sustainable garden, show us the importance of gardening, and just different ways that we can benefit our community through that.
For these teachers, their passion crossed paths with a need. And what we found interesting and maybe unexpected was that kids needed to get their hands dirty. Kids needed to sweat. Kids needed to have independence. That wasn't a need we were trying to meet in the project, but it might be the most pivotal one we did find.
We're just here to make the lives of students and teachers better, take a risk to create conversation about what could be.
I'd like to invite Steve, Heidi, Sarah, come on up, and your students, if they are still here. Sophia could not make it, right? Oh, hi, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. I have to say, we filmed this when it was probably 100 degrees, and I had on like 5 layers, and they were such good sports. Not one of them complained. I complained the entire time. I'm like, can we do these interviews inside? Thank you all so much for being here. There was a lot to cover that we could not include in the video, so I'm really excited to take this opportunity to chat with them. Do you guys all just want to, well, they probably recognize the teachers. Just run down and introduce yourself and tell them what you teach. What grade you're in?
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm in 6th grade, and I was really excited about the courtyard when I first saw it, and now I'm really excited for what's to come.
I'm Sarah Sabaticki. I teach 4th grade science and social studies at DeWitt Elementary in Cuyahoga Falls.
Hi, I'm Heidi Short. I teach 5th grade science and social studies.
Good morning, I'm Steve Newell and I teach high school social studies at Cuyahoga Falls.
Hey there, Steve McIntosh, intervention specialist at Cuyahoga Falls High School.
My name is Bella Wagner, and I'm a junior at Cuyahoga Falls High School.
Hi, my name is Carly Schneiders, and I'm a senior at Cuyahoga Falls High School.
All right, I just wanted to talk a bit about, we'll start with Heidi and Sarah, because we couldn't really talk much about it in the video. Unfortunately, that was like, what, 4 minutes, and there's a lot to pack in. So tell us a little bit about how you started your Greener and Cleaner DeWitt initiative, and then that led to year 2. Tell me about your first grant and the second project that you're working on right now.
We started working with our standards with human modifications to the environment, and we started with an augmented reality sandbox, and then from that we went to the gardens and how humans can really make a change for, whether it's science or as related in the video, grow where you're planted. I really feel that that is a huge statement that can relate to everybody's life, is grow where you're planted.
So we wanted to build off of our first grant that we wrote, so we went for a second one, which we're so blessed to have. And we're also blessed to be part of a STEM leadership group through Summit County. And we had a different idea that we were going to start with, but we loved our first grant so much, wanted to build off that. We have a little partnership going on with Bridgestone. They're a green facility. They've been helping us so that our school building can become more greener. Greener and Cleaner is the title of our grant. And we just started recycling with the city of Cuyahoga Falls, which is brand new for us, which we're really excited about. We're going to be composting in our courtyard that you saw in the video. And we also have grow carts. We're going to be growing some herbs and different items in our classrooms this year that the kids are going to be able to take home so that we can promote gardening at home and just different cleaner practices in our building. We're really excited about it.
My question is for Carly, because we talked about this when we were filming. Tell me a little bit about how the garden has brought several different subject areas together and a lot of the different students together.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that use a garden at our school, whether it's like for art class, for science, for language arts. So I know my art class goes outside and we draw like what we see outside in the garden. Like I pick the sunflowers because they're pretty. So, and then the language arts classes, I know they go out there and they like write what they see. And then the science classes are the ones that like use it, like test the soil, test the water, like all that other kind of stuff. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Steve and Steve, dynamic duo. We talked a little bit about how you received just amazing support from your administration, your principals, just your colleagues in the building. And I do want to give a special shout out. I think Todd Nichols is here. Yes? Oh, thank you. We just wanted to recognize you and all the wonderful doing you're doing in Cuyahoga Falls District. Kevin is not here today, right?
He's not. Okay.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about that and just kind of how you approached that and how important it was to receive that type of encouragement.
Anytime you start a new project, you always wonder how it's going to be received, and we just got yeses from everybody, which was awesome. Like, hey, can we use this piece of property out at the back of the building? Yes. Here's what we're going to do. I'm not worried about what you're going to do with it. Just do what you need to do. And we got support from all the administration. Kevin helped us build a shed and volunteered a lot of his time. Other teachers over the summer volunteered their time. We would send out a text message and we'd have 6, 7 teachers and half a dozen to a dozen students show up to work, and it was really neat to see all the support we were getting, and then having people talk to me in the community about how the community is talking about it. What's going on behind the high school? What are they doing out there? And getting support from the community has been really neat because, I mean, I think we all know being in education, you hear no sometimes and it gets frustrating. All we heard was yes. So that was outstanding.
Yes, and I want to recognize Catherine as well. Thank you so much for your interview, and I know that both Heidi and Sarah have received just amazing support from you as well. So Steve McIntosh, so you are the intervention specialist at the high school. Why was it important for you to do something like this for your students?
Oh, geez. There's a bunch of reasons. I guess primarily with the expansion of our garden, was really just to get them more involved with what other students in the school are doing and to bring other students to them so we can work collaboratively on different projects. They can learn from each other, and it's been a pretty incredible thing to see the modeling that's happening with some of our students like Carly and Bella to really set a good example for our students. And I think they're learning quite a bit about our students as well through the project. So it's been truly a collaborative effort.
And Bella, why is it important to you to grow food? Why do you think that that's important?
Important to grow food. So one thing that happened over the summer was we had some tomato plants growing in a bed that they shouldn't have been growing in, so we got to take them home because we weren't going to replant them because we already had a bunch of tomato plants. So I took one of the tomato plants home, and it just sort of overgrew into 2 really big tomato plants. And so I have my own tomatoes growing at home now, and I think it's important because, like I said in the video, you kind of get to learn that patience aspect and the value of being able to do things on your own, because some kids in this day and age just don't really get that experience because it's very oh, everything is done for you.
And Sophia, so Sophia has an interesting point of view because she was at the elementary school when they started the process, as we mentioned briefly in the video. And then we brought the 6th graders back the day we filmed to see the fruits of their labor. And tell me about your reaction. And I know you said that it looked like a completely different courtyard. What did you plant the year before?
The year before we planted sunflowers and bell peppers and marigolds, and then they were just sprouting when I left DeWitt, and then when I got to see them back when I came back to DeWitt this year, they were completely grown, and it was so exciting to see with all of my other friends, and we were all so excited about it.
How tall were the sunflowers?
They were taller than me, they were taller than yeah, they were
teachers. Yeah, that's pretty tall. We can open it up if you have any questions for the teachers or students. Question in the back, Carrie.
I just wonder, how do you work the garden over the summer? It's a lot of work in the summer when you don't have students.
It is, but fortunately we did have students. We were fortunate enough to have a list of about 35 teachers and students that all signed up for our Remind app. Nice little plug for that. It's a great tool if you look into it. So every Sunday, Steve or I would send out a text. Hey everybody, we're going to be at the garden Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. This is what we're going to be doing. See you there. And we figured, hey, if we get 2 people there to help us out, that'll be great. But we would routinely get 10 people coming up every day to help out, where we'd almost have to find things to do because we had so much support. And I think how we did it was just being excited about what we're doing. It's contagious. The staff members that were participating with us, they were super excited about it. And when they're excited, the kids get excited. And it's just, I don't know, it works out really well. It wasn't that difficult to get people that want to do it. They're sick of watching Netflix all summer long. They want to go do something.
I wanted to add to that. So we weren't seeing a lot of grants coming out of Cuyahoga Falls. Was yours was the first ones, I think?
The first round, yeah. Lucille came and spoke at a staff meeting and said that Cuyahoga Falls hasn't pursued any of the grants over the last few years, and Steve and I had been talking about trying to put together some funding for this project. And I'm like, well, why would we not do this? There's not a whole lot of money going around to do things that we want to do, so what's the harm in applying? And working with Lucille certainly was very helpful, and I think Cuyahoga Falls was able to get like 5 grants that year. So it's really just taking a risk, and it takes some time to do it, but it's, oh my gosh, it's so worth it.
So let's talk just a bit about that. And I love the story that you shared at DeWitt. Their students were kind of involved in the grant making process. They knew they were applying for a grant and writing for a grant. They cheered for them when they received it. So you're not grant writers. I mean, tell me what it's like. Tell me about the process for you doing that.
We just come up with ideas, and we have big dreams and not a lot of money. So that's really the inspiration for this. And both of us, we take risks, and I think that's what it's all. This is what it's all about right here. This is why we put in the time and do what we do for students in our school.
Sophia can even say we would work on Google Drive, and so they would come back from specials, the students, and they would see all this writing, and we would use that as a lesson. We would say writing is just speaking, it's just talking. Tell people what you want, and they will listen. And so they would see that, they would come in and they would ask us, have you heard, have you heard, have you heard? And then when we would hear, they would get really excited. You remember seeing that on the smartboard?
And so they just cheered us on along the way. When we found out that we got it, Catherine, our principal, literally was up running through the halls. We were screaming. We caused mass chaos, but we were so excited, and the kids were so excited to know what we had been working on. It's nice to show them collaboration too, and teamwork, because that's what it's all about too, is working together with others and to reach your goals.
Any other questions from the audience?
Sophia, how did you feel about digging up the weeds and the bugs?
It was work, but it was definitely fun because we got to interact with other students, and we all worked together, and it was so much fun, and it made the courtyard look amazing. So.
Any other questions? Yes, Lucille.
I'd just like to say that when we initially wrote the Steve Square grant, they told me we hope to have 200 pounds to give to the community, etc. I never said anything. I thought, I don't know, 200 pounds of food. What is it going to be by the time of potatoes?
All right, well, at last count, we're a little over 550 pounds of food that we've donated so far. We still have some potatoes that we have to pick, about 400 square feet worth of potatoes. Oh geez, no, actually like 1,600 square feet of potatoes. So we'll be probably close to 700-800 pounds, hopefully. And yeah, people won't go hungry. At least not for a little bit.
Thank you so much. And the teachers will be here throughout the day, so if you have questions for them, just grab them and ask away. Thank you so much, Bella, Carly, and Sophia, for coming. It's so great to see you. Okay, we are going to get started with the morning portion of our presentations. We have 2 morning talks for you, and then we'll break out into our breakout sessions at 11. So we'll be in this ballroom. We'll split into 3 rooms. So first up, we have Becky Stanek, and almost mixed up your last names, and Dave Turnett from Kimpton Middle School. So we featured Dave's classroom here, if you've been to the conference, a couple years ago. So he's back by popular demand, and they are going to share just some really innovative ways that they have changed their classrooms. If you've ever been in Dave and Becky's classrooms, I mean, instantly when you walk in, you can feel that it's not a traditional classroom. I try to act like that cool person, and I try to act like that cool visitor, like I know what all the kids are working on, and I really don't. So they're gonna show you how to incorporate, how easily it is to incorporate virtual reality into your classrooms, among other things. And you have a little treat on your table, and they're going to explain what that is and how to use it. Be prepared to kind of loosen up a bit. We're going to wake you up if Art Sparks hasn't woken you up already, and I will let them take it away.
You're all teachers, you don't need the mic. And then we have big voices. If I'm not, am I loud enough or no? No? Okay, I'll use the microphone. Good morning. I'd like to point out to you on the screen right here that there is a presentation link. No, it's gone because we're switching screens. On the outsides, you'll see the presentation link. So if you'd like, if you have your own computer or device and you'd like to follow along with us, you are more than welcome to do so. You also want to have your cell phone ready for today's presentation because we're going to be using some websites like YouTube. And you also want to make sure that you are connected to the network. Otherwise, you're going to be using your own data.
So,
what is the network? I don't know, Dina. What is their network stuff?
oh.
I don't know.
While Dina is getting that started, so the viewers that you see on your table, they are all folded up like this, right? Go ahead and take them out if you want, and make sure your phone has the YouTube app. Right, and then this, because it makes it easier, we'll be referencing some things here. The nice thing with the YouTube app is it's very easy to put it into the VR, the Google Cardboard mode. So you've noticed this nice setup we have here with my computer. Right now, with this computer, we are streaming this live on the GAR Foundation website, or YouTube channel. And so you guys are able to see this in 360. You can pan around and look at it, use your phone, and you can move it all over the place. So I will tell you that if you're looking at it, it's a little trippy to see yourself. You're there, but your view is here. So it might trip you out. You might feel like an X-Men or something moving around. So, but yeah, so we started this stream at the very beginning of the program, so you could later on go back and watch the video. So when you take the viewers out, make sure you peel off the plastic. I'm trying to get this. I need more hands. Make sure you peel off the plastic films on the lenses. Okay. And you might need to take your smartphone out of its case to fit. So those of you who, we're going to reference this more later on, but those of you who used Google Cardboard before, this is like Google Cardboard but without the cardboard. So whenever you get right, ooh, not Siri. Not Siri. Okay, so you'll just look at it like this, and you literally can turn around and look all over the place. Once you get to YouTube, you'll have to turn the phone to its side, and you'll see a little Google Cardboard icon, and you hit that, and it'll change it to a split screen. So, but we'll be referencing that more later on as we go.
Now that you're all a little distracted, you'll notice on the outside screens, this is our presentation, and we're going to leave the centerpiece here as the live stream, just so you can see it the whole time, in case you don't want to actually do it at this point. We'll come back to it. But I want to point out, on our title page here, there's a 12 clock, and it's flashing. Does that look familiar to any of you? Like, do you remember that growing up, maybe seeing it like on your VCR, or sometimes on your stove?
What's a VCR?
Do you sometimes still see it at home? Do you still see that happening? Typically, I know Dave and I talked about this growing up. When we were the kids in the household, we were the ones who were fixing that, and we were programming the VCR. Have you ever had a moment where your students have actually had to fix things for you? It happens all the time in our classrooms.
Yeah, you should see the look of accomplishment on their faces whenever they get to tell me what they tell me. When they tell me how to fix something in Unity or whatever. So one of the things we wanted to show was this new IBM commercial that came out. I don't know if you've seen it. It's been played a lot, especially NFL games and all that. But the first part of this really speaks to what has been, what our presentation's about, and it's a really good video to show with it.
Most kids today will have jobs that don't exist yet.
The energy management systems coordinate with autonomous vehicles' financial data, so now we can predict the future. There are new flexible propellers.
By collaborating with public schools on a program called PTEC, IBM is helping students build the skills they'll need for tomorrow.
It's revolutionizing
the aerospace industry.
It's an entirely sustainable approach. Any questions?
When you rethink education, everyone can put smart to work.
That's good. All right, so the big takeaway there is most kids are going to be in jobs that haven't even been invented yet. Holy smokes. It's kind of reminded, whenever I first saw this, I thought about Kennedy's 1961 speech at Rice University. We're going to go to the moon, we're going to do this with stuff that haven't been invented yet, materials and architecture that haven't been invented yet. But we're going to do it, and we're going to do all these things. Same thing with our education system. We really need to be preparing our students for the workplace that they're going to have.
So jumping back a little bit further in time, I want you to think about the jobs that aren't around anymore, and even a lot of jobs that are currently becoming extinct. So for example, my grandmother was a switchboard operator. That doesn't exist anymore. Milkmen, video store clerks, they don't exist anymore. So technology is basically, it's given us this creation of brand new jobs, and it's advancing very, very rapidly. In the last decade or two, we've had so many jobs. I could stand here for like an hour and just say over and over, like all these new jobs are being created, but some of the big ones would be like AI engineers, artificial intelligence, it's everywhere. App developers, you have podcast producers, and you also have cloud architects that are being brand new jobs being created. Every single second, a brand new job is being invented.
So thinking about exactly what she said, and Microsoft and Apple, they created whole new industries way back in the 80s. So, but think about whenever you were a student, what'd your classroom look like? Right? What's it look like today? Kind of cracks me up, the girl's face in the middle. It's like, whoa, scrunch face. But notice, and we still have classes that look the same as they did in the 1930s. If you actually Google, ancient Sumerian classroom, they look just like this. So with the advancement of technologies and what has been occurring lately, and how technology has helped us out, how we should change a few things. Maybe.
So think about the devices and the technology that exists in education back in the 80s and the 90s. So take yourself back to the 80s and 90s. And I want you to think what you had. We had flip phones, we had pagers, but now
bricks.
Today...
They had to have the big bricks.
Oh yeah. Now we have smart devices. I'm looking around and everybody has this miniature computer at the palm of their hand. So I want you to consider the iPhone. So you'll see on the screen we have a chart here showing you the past 10 years of the iPhone development. We didn't think it was going to be past iPhone 4. We were like, oh my gosh, look at this is amazing. Yeah, look where we are now. So in the past 10 years, smartphones themselves, the smartphone you have in your hand, it actually has more power than the computer that was used in the Orion spaceship that NASA used to launch to Mars. Kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, and so when the internet was a thing, right? Remember at the very beginning, I remember way back, it was probably like 2000, we were looking at buying new science textbooks. And I've been doing a lot of research on the internet, and we had a computer, and blah, blah, blah. And looking at like Web 1.0, I thought, well, why do we have books? Why don't we just use the internet to research stuff? But wasn't able to be doing that just yet. But you notice we have Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Interesting thing with this, and if you look up some of the facts and figures with this, at Web 1.0, probably like this part of the room would be the users, and maybe half of a person would be a contributor. And the collective intelligence is super small because nobody's really contributing yet. But as you go across the chart, you can find out anything. I didn't know, I'm not a mechanic, I never claimed to be a mechanic, not even good with tools. But I can figure out how to change the brakes on my F-150 by going to YouTube, right? You can find anything out. It cracks my mom up every time. She goes, how do you know how to do that? I went to YouTube. So with Web 3.0 and later on, everybody's contributing. People can upload all kinds of stuff, some good, some bad, but more people are contributing to the web. A lot of databases are there. Why have a book? It's out of date as soon as they print it, a textbook. So constantly having a website that's being updated all the time, much, much better, especially for science and math.
So we have to think about how the workplace itself is changing or how it has changed. And that's really a big focus that Dave and I have with our classes. There should be some pictures on the screen. There we go, thank you. So who would have thought that 10 years ago, technology would have turned the workforce into something like this? So now you see in these images, you see people collaborating, but they're using virtual reality devices to actually work on a project at the same time together. And they're not wasting supplies and materials and that sort of thing. So you want to think that today's technology is amazingly letting us increase efficiency of creation, the accuracy of the design of things, but it's also enhancing the manufacturing process itself. So it's so easy today, especially with virtual reality, to take an idea, take your little dream, take your idea, and advance it. And you can actually make that design and so quickly the actual product.
Yeah, so with even biomed technology, we see like Kent State, or not Kent State, well Kent State too, but Case Western Reserve is using Microsoft HoloLens to teach anatomy instead of having a human cadaver. Now the students are able to see the anatomy, like the atrial valve or aortic valve in situ, in as it should be, instead of having to try to turn the person over and try to look at the valve. We used the demo program that Case uses, and I showed it to the health teacher. He's like, oh, that's where my pancreas is. And now I see why it does that. So you can also, it's really cool if you look up on YouTube, maybe not now, but you can see surgeries where people are using virtual reality to actually conduct the surgeries. They're using Microsoft HoloLens. They'll have a hologram of the heart that they're working on, and then everybody will have HoloLens on, and they're able to see the heart and what they're supposed to be doing with it.
So they're actually starting to use virtual reality with like modern fighter planes and the astronaut training in the aerospace. So that's what you're seeing, that other picture that is now covered. Kent State, he mentioned Kent State before, they're actually researching this particular, it's called liquid crystal displays. They're doing so much research, they've been doing this for years, so they can start advancing things like bio and medical molecular devices, and they're creating those smart materials that are things like in your phones for new applications. So we're trying to prep our students by learning about the virtual reality to then, of course, progress into college, learn a little more, and then get in the workforce and actually use this type of technology. There's also the autonomous vehicles, and we all know that that is extremely rapidly progressing. Like, it's coming very soon.
Yeah, I can't wait till I don't have to drive anymore. That'd be awesome.
I think they said by 2030, I think I read an article yesterday,
Yeah,
2030, they're hoping they're
You
going
can
to see these all over the place.
You can buy a car, well, Tesla has their autopilot already. Nissan has their ProPilot, it says. Anyway, but yeah, and the nice thing, my son is an author, and he's doing scripting. But now with Amazon, iTunes, iBooks, you can make your own and publish your own book. He can get his movies out. Whenever he films a movie, he can put it out on YouTube or whatever. And it's really easy for artists to create their content and get it out and self-publish, and they don't have to have a corporation blocking them from getting their work out to the public. which is really nice.
So a little bit about us and how we have our classrooms. The actual physical setup is an open concept. So we have an engineering lab design, and we have stations basically set up into our classroom. So we don't have that typical row to row to row seating in our classes. And the really cool thing is that our rooms are connected. So between our two classrooms is this little kind of like hallway. I like to call it our office, but it's like a little hallway. So Dave and I are able to go from classroom to classroom and help each other out and to help our students with their projects and so forth.
We've also come to the realization that whenever we're working with the different coding or 3D modeling or whatever, we used to have them try to touch on each one, but we found that they're not finishing and they're not able to get to their final project all the way. And it's really quite annoying because the kids get, oh, I got my phone case, it's almost ready, and we're done. You know? So we started making it, well, we started with this year where the kids are starting to pick their project. And the interesting thing is that their projects are teaching a lot of the same things no matter what you're doing. So even if you're learning coding, you're learning math, or X, Y, and Z axis, or you have to make out a specific type of algorithm or instructions for the computer to follow. So the students are now picking their projects, and they decide between like 6 of them, depending on their interest, and then they're able to choose a project to do.
And of course, we use YouTube to support a lot of the structure of the design. So it's not all us standing up here. This is strange for us to stand in front of you and do all of this talking, because this isn't normally what we do. It's more student-led, so students, like you said, are choosing their projects, and then we use supported tutorials. We use the open source stuff. And then we, of course, we're there to help guide them and help them discover and help them research what they want to accomplish or what the big goal is.
Yeah, we want to get out of their way.
Yeah.
So it's more like, hey, can I do this? Sure, that's a great idea. That's awesome.
And we a lot of the times, and I've seen this lately, a lot of the times we push collaboration a lot, and we know the majority of people are doing that, of course. But we see it so much in our classrooms. Like, I'll be over on this side helping someone with coding or 3D design, and over there I've got my virtual reality path students helping each other out, or they're teaching each other. It's just amazing. It's one of those really proud teacher moments to actually see them helping each other get through their projects.
The other thing that really makes a big deal is with all the software and hardware upgrades that we get, our class is almost changes from quarter to quarter. So while we still teach the same sort of things, we might use different resources, we'll structure it different. We say, hey, let's try this. Okay, let's try that. Oh, that didn't work. That's not we don't want to use that one. So we find out a lot, and our classes change. So you just got to also be prepared that, you know, I think the days of going to the copy room and printing out your 1,000 worksheets that you're going to hand out through the year is pretty much gone.
And what you have to also think about is you have to let go. Like, I had a hard time with this at first. I used to be an in-class content teacher as well. You have to let go. You are not the person who knows every detail. Like, I might give them an assignment and a kid veers from that and starts taking their own approach. I have no idea what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let's do this together. So we just dive in. So you have to, as the educator, you have to let go a little bit with this approach as well.
Yeah, we can't be like, oh, we're going to cover A, B, and C, and that's it. No. It's gotta be more of a way that we can, hey, let's try making a virtual field trip. You know, oh, I want to try this. Okay, that sounds good.
So last year, we put up, here's some examples of students with virtual reality. In the top right corner, there's a little video clip, there's videos on here, of a student of mine that I had. Her name is Maddie, she was an 8th grader, and she was really interested in graphic design. Like, she shined in art class when she had it in her rotation. So she tried the coding, she tried the 3D, and I was like, let's try graphic design in virtual reality. So she was like, I'm not really sure, what does that mean? So I showed her a video. His name is Glenn Keane. He was on Jimmy Fallon?
No? The
Late Night Show.
Yeah.
And he showed how you can actually use a virtual reality device in using a program called Tilt Brush, and he created Ariel. So he drew Ariel in 3D. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's also a video that's on there in the bottom corner. Once I showed her that video, she was like, I got it, I know what I'm supposed to do. So I just let her design. And she wound up creating her own representation of a Beauty and the Beast. She took the rose, and she redrew the rose, and then she very, like an italicized, I don't know how she did this beautiful writing, It says Beauty and the Beast, and then it's got these animations to it. So it's got these like embers coming off of the rose.
But the really cool thing that we're able to do is we're able to take the virtual reality, then we can download it as a file, an STL file, and then we can print that file. So we can actually print whatever she designs. So it's not just a painting that's two-dimensional that's going to stick on a wall. Now the painting is living. And so Jada is the same. She was last year in 7th grade. She was really good with art, but the thing is, she could think in 3 dimensions.
Very good spatial thinker.
Yeah, very, very good spatial thinker. And she blitzed through our 3 months. I mean, she was done in like 2 days. I was like, how are you done with it? You can't build a golf. Oh, but she could. And so she decided that she wanted to take it and go. She has a bunch of characters in her mind that she wants to start creating and fleshing out. So she started designing them using Medium and also Tilt Brush. Medium is for Oculus Rift, more of a sculpting program. So then we would download her characters that she created and we would print them out, and then she has them and she paints them all up, and now she has an actual 3D representation of this character she just thought up in her head. So
I can't wait to have Jada this year. I'm really excited.
We also have in the bottom left, that's our first hologram that we were able to upload. It's a little short movie, a little 30-second clip that you can watch later, but it has, it's our first hologram, and it's like a butterfly flying around. It was our first successful holographic.
And the really cool thing about these graphic designs and virtual reality and even the holograms is it's not just, like you said, plastered on a wall. Like, you can actually walk through it and around it, and you can get a whole scope of what it actually is.
So some of the sketches is pretty funny. They can be a little frightening, but it depends on how you feel about virtual reality. But
so we don't just have our students actually working with this virtual reality stuff. Now we've got staff members who are jumping on board, and they're working with the virtual reality and the 360 cameras and devices. So we've got in the past couple years, we've had some students, they're working on creating like an actual 360 tour of our building of Kimpton Middle School. And we're hopefully that, you know, by the end of the year we have a true one, so that community members and students that maybe that are new or the upcoming 6th graders into our building can actually tour the building and get very familiar with it before they come to school. Because we all know that first day of school is one of those, like, you know, deer in the headlight looks. And we're also hoping, our STEM club, we're hoping that they advance this a little more, not just our building, but all the buildings in our district, so people can 360 tour them.
We're so close where they can program and put the video into an app, but we haven't yet cracked. This is where we run out of time. They get to the point, they make the app, and we're like, okay, now create it so it's a standalone. We can put it on a website. Okay, great. The
quarter's over.
So also it works for so many other things. We had the drama teacher coming in. He wants to put the camera, the 360 camera into their plays, like hide it in a lamp or whatever, so you could literally be in the play. We've had one of the coaches, my son plays volleyball, I've put and that's the bottom left, I've put the camera on the post, and the coach was like, why are you doing, what is this? So I showed him it was a 360, he goes, okay, let's take a look. So we took some of the footage and saw the guy come in to attack, about ready to spike, stopped the video, just turned and looked, he goes, why are you there? You know? So he's able to see in real time what's going on, and he's able to coach it and correct it right there. So that he's always asking me to come back and start filming with the 360. We also had another teacher that took it out this summer, and he was doing a lot of rock climbing. He always shows his students whenever he falls. He's in a rope, he's not literally falling, but he falls a little bit. And the students always laugh, and then, but he also takes them on little tours like the Natural Bridge or some of the other geologic features that he goes to out west to climb.
He's approached us a couple times too. He wants to join in on helping us create that 360 tour of our building. So we're trying in collaboration to not just have our students work on it, but have his unit of students work with helping take the footage and learn how the process works and that sort of thing.
And the biggest thing with having them choose the projects and coming up with all this stuff, the students really get an ownership of their work, and they actually start coming in a lot more than just STEM class. So even though we say, oh yeah, then the quarter's over, we actually have quite a few that come in during their lunch, study hall, or win period, and they come in and they're working all the time trying to create these games or apps, whatever they are.
So things didn't always start this way. Some of you are probably like, oh wow, you've got all this stuff, but we did not start this way. About 3 years ago, we applied for a grant, and we were funded by GAR to start this virtual reality path. So we started with just YouTube and Google Cardboard. And basically what we had our students do was just kind of search for something, that would be science connected, like, you can look up roller coaster videos, and then we can start calculating the physics with them and that sort of thing. Just to enhance the learning experience. So it was just kind of touching base with things. And then eventually, as time started to progress, they started to make the content for the Google Cardboard.
Yeah,
I was saying now, and then we have some staff members that are starting to actually jump on board with doing this as well in their classes.
Yeah, now they're looking at ways, hey, let's take the camera and put it on a drone and we'll fly it out to do mapping, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we were starting, it really just started with Google Cardboard and the expeditions. Remember those? And like she said, looking at like roller coasters. There were some good undersea videos that were really nice. So, but if you go ahead and take your phones, you might have to take them out of the case. Go ahead and find the YouTube app. And we could try it. Now, ways you might be thinking, well, how am I going to incorporate this into lessons? One of the easiest ways to do this is to create like a little, you can even do like where they have to make a presentation. If you're a Google app school, they could do a presentation, or even PowerPoint. There's other free resources, Prezi, that you could use. But yeah, they could just make it like a little presentation, taking screenshots of their video, that kind of thing. Now, I must tell you that whenever you start with once you find your video, you want to do like a little search for your topic. All right, so I give you some examples up there. You can try to take them. I got to tell you, if you have your headphones with you, it's much better with your headphones on. I won't be offended. But,
we're used to organized chaos, so
go ahead and put it on your head. It's a lot better. And that's the nice thing too with this camera. It has spatial sound, so as you walk behind it, you'll hear that in your headphones. But if you have that first picture of your video, you'll see it as a single. You'll see it as a single thing, and you can move it around and see stuff like that. And that's how you can also see it, like on the video computer right there. But whenever you tap the screen, you'll see in the bottom right, you'll see this little icon, this Google Cardboard icon, and then that will split it into those that double picture, which will give you the sense of virtual reality. Now, you guys remember the Viewmasters? Speaking of old tech. Okay. So yeah, we'll still stream the video if you, we'll still stream it if you got it. But make sure you look all around, don't just look straight ahead. Look above, look behind, look all over the place.
Can you walk us through how to get there again?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so on your phone, just to walk it through from step one, if you have the YouTube app, just go ahead and open it up, and then in the search, just type in 360 video, or a 360 rock climbing video, or a 360 roller coaster. Ooh, the 360 space one is really cool.
don't do the sisters one. That's
Yeah, don't do the sisters. There's some scary videos that'll freak you out. Especially if you have headphones on there and a zombie reaches out.
Dave, are you going to show the video of how to use it from the actual view people?
Yes. So once you have your video, we're going to walk through this a little bit too. We'll have a video to show you here in just a second. But if you once you click on your video, you'll see it up at the very top of your phone. Just turn it to the side, and it'll go full. It'll be like a full pane, and then full image. Okay. Now, when you touch the screen, you'll see that Google Cardboard icon at the bottom. Just click on that icon, and then it'll turn it to that. see it on your computer, but you will see it but you got to go through the cardboard app. We'll see some people riding roller coasters, put their arms in the air. Yeah.